So, first off, I want to thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. I have a few questions to discuss about some collaboration and ethical practices. The first of which is, why is confidentiality important when working with students and families?
Wow. Okay. Well, I believe that confidentiality is important because, we don't, the whole world doesn't need to know everybody's business.
Hmm.
And so, like, if we didn't have that element of confidentiality, then the trust wouldn't be there. I feel like the trust between me and my students wouldn't be um, as solid as if it wasn't there.
Right. And also, too, I think, especially there are some sensitive topics that are private, like private information that sometimes our students or their parents, families will divulge to us that are, it's
Yeah.
necessary for us to know, but like not necessary for everybody to know.
Right.
I totally agree with that. Um, so speaking on confidentiality, where are some situations where confidentiality could unintentionally be violated?
Mhm. Um, let's see.
I think maybe like in discussion, people listening in on your discussions, that could happen.
Yeah,
Especially with kids. Kids are nosy. Um,
yeah, yeah. People just like I'm lucky to have an office where I
mhm.
can shut the door and talk to kids one on one, and it's like, but I still have all those kids out there that still need me,
Oh
and
yeah.
they'll just walk in, and it's like, y'all, I'm trying to have a conversation here.
Like knocking is out of the question for them. I also think I kind of think that social media and technology in general has a lot to do with that too. Um,
Death.
anything can be screenshotted.
Yeah, yeah,
Anything can be screenshotted. So like, they may have sent you a message regarding something private, and then somebody could have gotten their phone, screenshotted it and sent it to them, or somebody could have been using their phone and sent it to other people. And I think kids, parents are the more parents are around that have been exposed to technology for a longer period of time, they're guilty of it too. But kids especially, they just think they need access to everything because of
yeah.
it, I think.
Well,
I'm not.
especially the gratification culture, it's
Yes.
like if I don't have all the access to all the information, then my life's not right. I have to have it right now.
Yes, absolutely. And we work, in a job where you're not going to be instantly gratified, because if you don't practice your instrument, you're not going to automatically be good, and that's a struggle for sure.
Yeah.
So on that, I think, confidentiality is part of us being ethical educators. So
Mhm.
based on that, what are some ethical responsibilities that we have when we are working with our colleagues, when we're working with our students, and when we're working with the community?
Okay, so I would say with colleagues first, an ethical thing would just be able to separate your personal life from your work life.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes those things are synonymous, but a lot of times, especially as educators, we only get a certain amount of adult interaction throughout the day, and so it's like, well, I'm gonna tell you what happens in my whole life, not just what's happening my in my classroom.
Hmm.
I don't want to talk anymore. I want
Yeah.
to talk about what's happening outside the school. And sometimes that's okay, and sometimes not so much.
Hmm.
Um, let's see, with the students, I would definitely say, you know, making sure that you try to be as unbiased as possible. Um, and I know that as human beings, we have our own biases, and we have our own viewpoint on the world. And but as an educator, they didn't come. Those kids did not come to my band class to learn about my political views
Yeah.
or my religious beliefs. They came to learn about music, and
And
I
I,
can spring.
yeah, I've noticed a lot. There have been a few educators that I've seen that really push like share their political views in the classroom, and I just don't think no matter what your political beliefs are, if theirs are different than mine or not, I don't think that's appropriate because I think we have an ethical responsibility to our students to let them give them the information and the tools that they need to make their own decisions.
Right, right. And like if a kid asks me what my opinion is on it, like
Mm.
I'm not afraid to just say, well, this is my opinion, but don't just take my opinion as fact.
Right.
Like my opinion, I have my own viewpoint on this topic. Go figure out your own opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah. I totally
So,
agree
and
with
the community, I would say being as transparent as possible.
that. Mhm.
I think I think that could be considered an ethical practice. If you have nothing to hide, then show them that you have nothing to hide.
Mhm.
It's only when we have something that we don't want to show that the community starts to not trust us anymore.
Absolutely. I think too, a lot of that being present and just being like a fixture in the community and being involved when it
Definitely.
comes to different things, showing your face, letting people know that you're there and that you're supportive of the kids. That goes a long way too, because especially in a small town, community support could make or break your success for sure. So, what another question I've got? When we do face ethical dilemmas as educators,
Mhm.
what steps should we take before making decisions?
Well, talk to your administration.
Mhm.
Like, Um, I mean, if you have trusted coworkers that are outside of the situation, like let's say it's coworker to coworker or coworker or like me to my student, I would definitely say like get advice from somewhere. And then definitely talk to your administration. I would say the earlier that you let them know something, the better off it's going to be in the long run.
Yes, absolutely. And one thing I've learned in my career is that having keeping track of things, having a paper trail of things, like when we have drum major auditions,
Hmm.
I always make an effort to make sure I hire judges who are outside of our community.
Hmm.
That way, ethically, there's not a bias towards a specific student. I always make sure that the judges' sheets are not altered in any way, that they are the only ones. I make them sign them, stuff like that, making sure that you have everything in line so that, because let's be honest, kids and parents are going to get their feelings hurt sometimes. And it's just part of life. And sometimes people, when they don't get their way, they think that there's something that somebody's done that's unethical to prevent that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that happens a lot in our career. But I think that's important. And yes, administration, communication, I I agree completely because anytime I have an issue, I talk to my administrator first or let my counselor know if something's happened. I like to give them a heads up, and they always appreciate that. They
Yeah.
would rather know earlier, like you said, than later. And I think I will just ask like one more question just to kind of round things out. What are some strategies schools can use to prevent ethical, moral, or legal issues when we are collaborating with staff and community members?
Training.
Yes. Now.
Right. I mean, I have just in the last 2 years of teaching, I have multiple examples of if I would have just been trained,
Mm-hmm.
we could have avoided the whole situation.
Yeah.
If you would have taken the time as an administrator to teach me the 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 process or the uh, the way around or whatever, fill in the blank, that situation could have been avoided completely.
Mm-hmm.
And I think lack of communication, lack of training.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
a problem, especially in education.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think the training is a major issue, and not having those resources like readily available. And I think sometimes too, core subject teachers, they get more information than
Mm,
we do as arts teachers.
yep.
We kind of get like forgotten about, swept under the rug, and all this stuff. Like nobody really knows what to do with us. And so that puts us in a position where we have to ask more questions.
Yeah.
And I think too, another thing is like accessibility from your administrators. Sometimes it's hard to get in touch with them. I've had issues before where in different positions where I couldn't get a hold of an administrator, and I've really needed something figured out, and I I couldn't get a hold of them. I called them, text them, emailed them. They were on campus but could nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
And I think, that goes back to the being transparent and being present and being a fixture in your school and your community.
Absolutely.
So I think those are some really good thoughts that we've had. So again, I just want to thank you for taking your time uh,
Absolutely.
to answer these questions with me.
Yeah.